Hello and welcome to another scrapbooking process video. Today I'm going to be scrapping my project life pages for late May. I'm using photos here that are printed up. I use an Epson PictureMate PM400 and I printed up my photos at 4x6, 3x4, 2x3, and for screenshots, I print them up at 2x4, and that just allows me to capture everything. I do have a couple of square photos here as well that I printed up at 2x2. I sometimes print those at 4x4, but for this week, I printed them at 2x2. I have a whole bunch of Project Life supplies that I'm keeping in that little white washi tape container, and this was a card from last week that I forgot who won the game, so I just took that out so I could remember to write in that Scott won. And then it occurred to me that the little plant filler card that's right beside it looks a lot, it's not the same plant, but it looks a lot like the plant that I'm going to be documenting this week. So I thought, let's try to find a different filler card, and maybe I'll use that plant for this week since I'm talking about a plant that looks like that. So I go down this little rabbit hole for a few minutes here, just looking through my supplies. And you know, the good thing about this is that it just kind of refamiliarizes myself with the contents of these kits. I am working with a lot of kits here, far more supplies than what I'm used to working with. I have the Studio Calico May kit. I have the Ali Edwards Stories by the Month May kit. I have a whole bunch of just the Cocoa Daisy cards only for the month of May. And I also have, well, it's tucked in behind and I'm not going to use it. I have an Ellie Studio kit as well. So that is kind of a lot. So anyhow, I decided to just go ahead and leave the filler card that I had because I couldn't find one that really worked. And I did notice that there were some other plant-like cards in the kits that I could use to tell the story that I wanted to tell about my fiddle leaf fig. So as usual, I'm just starting with my Project Life Becky Higgins Design A templates here that I just made many, many years ago out of cardstock. And it became clear that I have a whole lot of photos here of Liv's birthday. And so what I decided to do was take the ones from the evening, like just kind of like the get together photos, and put them in an insert. That is actually, I'm not going to make it today. I'm going to make it another day. But I am keeping in for now the photos from her actual birthday morning because it seemed more like just kind of like everyday life. So I thought I could keep them in, but it turns out that I'm going to run out of room. So I'm not going to keep them in after all. But this is my typical first step in my process, which is figuring out where I'm going to put all of these cards. Not the cards, the photos. First, I figure out the photos, and every once in a while, I print up different sizes of the same photo, which you'll see I did there. I have a 4x6 of me and Scott on the deck, and another 2x3 also printed of that. And that's just in case I change my mind, or if I'm not sure whether I want a photo to be a big part of the layout or a small part of the layout. I might print it like that in both sizes, and then decide as I go. It keeps me from interrupting my process in terms of like stopping and deciding, oh, I better print up a new photo. If I think I might need to print another one, I just print them all at once. So here's another thing that is sort of disrupting my creative process, which is that I thought I might want to use some roller date stamps on some of these photos and the cards that go along with them. So I am just using my Photos app. I use a Mac, and so I'm just going through and getting the info for each of those. And for this one, because the photo, I just kind of like downloaded a screenshot of a photo. So the photo date would be wrong. I just had to look up the date that the mass shooting took place and just kind of writing down the dates of everything on the backs of the photos. Again, that's a little disruptive to my process, so I'm going to try to do that before I start scrapping from now on. And I did have to take a little bit of a break, and now here I am back. And I have all my photos figured out, except those ones off to the side. They could spill over to the next week. They're sort of timeless. One of them is about Pride Month, which, you know, technically started this week, but I'm not too sure if I'm going to just kind of like consider this page to be just May and then push everything from June 1st over to the next page, or if I'm going to put some of June in the end of this spread. So I haven't decided yet. I do have some gratitudes that I pre-wrote earlier in the month. And so I definitely want to use that May Gratitudes card. And I'm stuck on using this card. I really want to use it. It's from the Cocoa Daisy cards that I bought. And I do have a video on my channel where I just share the contents of that little Cocoa Daisy haul that I did. And so that's really fun if you're interested in looking at lots and lots of beautiful, beautiful Project Life cards. That's on my channel. And basically, I'm stuck on using it because it says May of 2022. It's a really beautiful card, and if I don't use it this year, it's not going to be relevant for any other years, obviously. Other May cards I could just put into my May section of my Project Life storage and just pick them out and use them next May. But this one, I kind of have it in my head that I want to use it this month. So I'm just picking some cards here, and that Just Another Day Around Here card is, I think it's from Studio Calico, and I really liked how it looked. It was adding something bold. I'm trying to offset some of the prettier cards from Cocoa Daisy because I don't want this spread to look like too much of a departure from the rest of my album, and I haven't been using Cocoa Daisy cards until now, and they're very floral and very beautiful and very watercolory, but I don't want this spread to stand out as very, very different from everything before it. So I'm just making sure that not everything is floral on this page and Cocoa Daisy on this page. I want to make sure I have some bold typographic cards as well, because that's what my spreads have been like up until now. But I do really love those cards, so I want to get some of them in the pockets here. So as you can see, I'm going to use that 4x6 floral up in the top middle corner, if there's a middle corner. And now I have a couple of stories to tell here that I'm thinking I might put on individual 3x4 flips, and then kind of like have the photos on the outside and flip up and show the journaling underneath. And so I'm well into my second phase right now, which is add cards to all of the photos so that they all have backgrounds and homes to live in. And at this point, I'm thinking about that May Gratitudes card, and I did write up my gratitudes on a note on my phone. And so what I thought I would do is I keep these plain white index cards from Amazon and I cut them in half. They come in 4x6 size, and I cut a portion of them in half so that I always have white 3x4s on hand as well as white 4x6s. And what I'm doing here is I'm actually copying and pasting that journaling from my note, which shows up on my computer because I have a Mac, and dropping it into a Pages document. And I keep a Pages document that's already formatted so that the page size is 3x4 inches so that I can print to my PM 400 onto 3x4 paper if I want to. And so I'm just playing around with the camera angles here because I wanted to share my screen. And this is what I do with my patrons. They get a little bit more behind the scenes information because I do share my real-time process that isn't sped up. And so it's a lot easier to talk about this process when you don't have the time constraints. I'm just measuring how big the May Gratitude section of that card is, and then I'm adjusting my page header and footer and margins so that there will be a 1-inch gap at the top there. And then I just adjusted my font size so that it would all fit onto one card. And I think I had to print it at 9-point font size in order for it to fit. And so as you can see, that prints up quite nicely and has that little extra bit at the top. I'm going to trim it down, and once this is in the card, once it's in the pocket, you're not even going to be able to tell that this is actually two pieces of paper here. I mean, if you look really hard, you'll be able to see that there's a line where one paper ends and the other begins, but it's pretty hard to see. I'm looking at it right now, and from my angle, I can't see at all that it's two pieces of layered paper there. So I just want to, because it's more related to the school shooting, I wanted it to be up by that photo of the school shooting. And so I'm going to put that there. And then it kind of felt like that just another day around here didn't feel right to be close to the school shooting. It was taking on a bit of a sarcastic sound, and or I just didn't want that there anymore. It just didn't jive right for me. So I went with the butterflies as a filler card instead of the just another day around here, because I felt like I was talking about some pretty serious things over there, and I didn't want to make it kind of like lighthearted or feel like it was sarcastic. Yeah. So yeah, that fresh air sentiment there I thought really worked well with the photo at the top, but I didn't really see a way to use it other than in the card right beside it, which I didn't really want to do. So I'm looking around here and looking at the supplies that I have in that little washi tape storage unit. And I notice that I have these offcuts. Those heart offcuts are from the page that I recently did. So I'm going to potentially put that in my May Gratitudes, like layer it on top of my May Gratitudes. I just had to go get myself a cup of coffee. And now I'm going to grab these photo flips. These are by Simple Stories, and I'm going to place one of these offcuts from the hearts. It's an Ellie Studio heart die that I have, and I used it on that layout that I just showed you right there. The process video for that layout is on my channel if you'd like to check it out. I can link it in a card. So what I was thinking is that I might make like a little overlay for my gratitudes and place those hearts inside of a pocket that you can kind of lift the flap to see my journaling unobstructed. So that's my thought there. And then I definitely want to use the photo and some journaling cards here. And so I'm going to use a flip here too so that it doesn't take up too much space on my page, because there's some plant related cards I want to make sure I use with regards to that fiddle leaf fig that I'm trying to nurse back to life. And then, of course, I had already said that I wanted to do some flips down there in the bottom left-hand corner, but what I decided to do instead of two separate 3x4 flips is to put those into a single 4x6 flip. And now I thought that this May Adventures Documented would be a good card to put right beside the photo of the pizza with mustard on it, because that was me being adventurous, was trying mustard on my pizza. And there's a whole little journaling story about that will show up under the photo of the pizza. So I decided to move that heart overlay off of my May Gratitudes. I'm not sure if I'm going to use it, but even if I do, I'm not going to leave it there because it's going to throw off the brightness of my video. So I'll just leave it over there to the side for now. But I'm a little on the fence about whether I'm going to use it. I think it's a good idea, but I don't know if I want to use it with that particular journaling. So I thought I would dive right in. So this is really where the scrapbooking itself starts. So this is the first thing I'm actually doing that isn't just planning. So I am trying to decide on a color because I want to do some stamping here. This is the stamp set that came in the May Studio Calico documenting like their pocket page kit. And so I'm going to season that stamp, even though I used it just kind of in an experimental way. And so I decided to use this shade of pink from Stampin' Up. It's called Petal Pink. And I double stamped it, and there was actually a bit of gray still left on my stamp from before. And so I decided to re-stamp it and see how it is much more pure petal pink color now. So I like that better. It doesn't have the gray on it. I just must not have cleaned my stamps. Now that is a layering stamp set. So it has those solid colored circles, and then it also has various different patterns and sentiments that you can put inside, and one of them says officially on the record. And since I'm scrapbooking a picture of Sophie holding her record and playing it on the record player, I thought that was a pretty good one. So I stamped it in Night of Navy, which is another Stampin' Up color. I really like the Stampin' Up colors. And I had already figured out that these waffle flower circle dies, one of them fits perfectly on this stamp. I was wishing that one of my punches fit it perfectly, but it doesn't. So I just pulled out my little miniature die cutting machine, which is a Cuddle Kids, which they don't make anymore. But I keep it on hand because it's so easy for quick die cutting. So I will put that stamp, that die cut stamp right there, and I'm just looking for a label. Now this is new. If you're not my Patreon, you wouldn't have seen this before, but this is my new way that I'm storing my labels instead of all in a big giant stack. And then when I take them out, they fall all over my desk and they're difficult to collect up again and put away. I decided to put all of my label stickers and a bunch of my other kinds of stickers in these little photo albums for 4x6 photos. This is one that I had on hand, but I also bought a bunch of them, and you'll see another one that that will come up later on in my process. For my letter stickers, I am using Narwhal ink by Lawn Fawn for this. They have a really pretty gray color that I like, so I use that one. I'm just going to staple this on for looks. And I like how that layers together with the roller date stamp on the blue one underneath. And here is my new little photo album that I store my letter stickers in. Just looking for some letter stickers to put the name of the album, which is Harry's House. And I decided to go with these pink letter stickers because I felt like these might be the kind of letter stickers that Harry himself would choose. So I'm going to layer them because they're not going to be very legible on that beautiful floral print from Cocoa Daisy. So I'm going to layer them on an October afternoon label sticker from my little album of label stickers. I'm spelling out Harry's and then house. And I'm going to shift all of these stickers over a little bit because they were too far over to one side and I wanted them a little bit more centered. So I'll just shift them all over. They're not too sticky, so it's not going to rip the paper or anything when I move them. And then I'll spell house, and I'm trying to start kind of in the center so that I don't have the same mistake happen with these. There we go. So I like how that looks. I'll put those back. I just keep those albums right beside me while I'm scrapbooking. They're just on a shelf over to my right, so they're super easy for me to grab. And I think it's going to be an easier way for me to keep my labels and letter stickers, which were starting to take over my project life supplies. Now I've decided to put this wood veneer that says May. I believe this is from the it's from the Studio Calico May Project Life Kit. And I decided to just plop it right there in the middle of the photo. And now I have another 3x4-inch photo and then the journaling card to go beside it. This is the Allie Edwards This Happened May Stuff card, and she has one of these cards in each of her Stories by the Month kit. So this is a card I've used in previous spreads as well, so I like that continuity of having the similar designs show up. My journaling here says I go into Sunnyside Thursdays and every other Friday for in-person sessions. Sometimes I do offer virtual sessions on these days. And that's just a photo of my laptop opened because I was doing a video session, even though I was in my office where I usually do in-person sessions. And I have a reading lamp, like a floor lamp from IKEA that is more just for mood. I don't need a lamp in there, but I just have it to have some height over there beside the tree. And what I do is I just kind of point it at me so that it's kind of shining on my face when I'm doing my sessions in my office. So when I do sessions right here, I have my video lights from my scrapbooking projects, like just my overhead lights. They do a pretty good job of lighting my face, so I don't need a special light here. I added some wood veneer chevrons there just to point to the fact that this card goes with that photo. I had already used an arrow, a wood veneer arrow, or I pulled out a wood veneer arrow to use on that May Adventures card. Now I'm just hand cutting around this logo just to make it look a little bit better on this card. I'll glue it down so it basically looks like an off-track sticker. And then I figured because we met on Friday after work, it's kind of notable because we don't do much on Fridays after work usually. So I wanted to make note that this was a time when we were doing something on a Friday. I knew I had some day of the week stamps, and I really don't use days of the week very often because I'm not very precise in my project life documenting. I don't really care whether it was a Friday or a Saturday or a Tuesday. But in this case, because it sort of is part of the story, I thought I'd pull out my Ellie Studio stamps here. And one of they have a set that has the days of the week in it. So I just took out the Friday and I'm stamping it with more of that narwhal ink from, actually it might be Storm Cloud ink from Lawn Fawn. So I stamped Friday there on the card, and then I'm just going to write on each of those stripes. It says Friday, and then we met Jen and Adam at Off Track to chat about family stuff and catch up. Gonna underline that, and there we go. Now I'm going to try to figure out what I'm going to do with this. So this allows me to use that really pretty May card, but not have it felt like if I used that card outward, like on the outside part of my project here, it would really dominate the page because it's such a bright yellow and nothing else is yellow on the page. So this allows me to use that card, but have it be more subtle because it'll be behind the flip. I'm going to treat these two cards very similar, even though they're different stories, different photos, and even different cards that don't even look like one another. The way I'm going to pull them together is I'm going to use the same font of stamps. So these are typewriter alphabet stamps from Ellie's Studio. I got a little Ellie's Studio haul that you can check out on my channel if you're interested in seeing that. I will just put it in a card above, so you should see it in the top corner right around now. So I am using, I think it's called Melon Mambo. Let me check. Yes, it is called Melon Mambo ink here from Stampin' Up. And I went and got my stamp chamois. I use the Stampin' Up stamp chamois. I also have the Lawn Fawn stamp chamois. I like them both. But I went and grabbed my stamp chamois because I wanted to clean my stamps properly, especially where these are alphas. They're probably going to get a lot of use, and I don't want little lint bits accumulating on them from using a baby wipe to clean them. So now I am handwriting in cursive writing the word broke. So it says dryer broke. And then for this one, I'm going to stamp out the word work, using the same ink and the same letters. And because these are going to be in the same pocket that will be a flip pocket, it will tie them together. I didn't realize I hadn't adhered my photo to the card properly, so I just added a bit of adhesive there. So now I'm spelling out work, and then I'm going to spell out overtime because I just wanted it to be a single word the same way that the word broke is a single word. It's not really overtime work when you own the business because you're not paid for it or anything, but it was certainly more work than what I usually do on the weekends. I worked almost the whole weekend on work stuff, so which is fine. It's worth it because it's very fulfilling to be an entrepreneur. I hope that sounded convincing. I'm going to outline these just to emphasize the fact that they're two different stories on two different cards. So outlining them individually like that helps that, but it also gives them one more way in which they're similar as well. So outlining in that way is nice because it serves two purposes at once. It shows how different they are, but also shows how the same they are. So Now, my journaling here, it was long journaling. And so I put my patrons on a bit of a break so that they could listen to some music while I wrote this out. It says, it was a busy weekend. Scott and I got IKEA furniture for Sunnyside and put it together to make an office for Sarah. We now have 4 therapy offices, plus we changed the conference room into a testing room. I also had a lot of admin work to do. We are a little lost with Jana being off on medical leave. There are aspects of the billing that I had no clue about, so lots of learning this weekend. Plus, our dryer broke, so after all that working all day, he took apart the dryer and fixed it. And he was Scott. I realized that I didn't actually say who he was, but I think it's clear that it was Scott. I'm just picking out one of the little tabs from the Ali Edwards Stories by the Month kit, and I'm using that for my flip. It says details, and I just stapled it over to one side for a little bit of interest. And I want to use this piece of chipboard also from the Ali Edwards Stories by the Month kit. It's a black piece of chipboard. It says a little story from May, and the sentiment that was already on that card really worked, but it was looking a little bland. So I'm covering it with this. I can't remember what it said, but it was relevant. Maybe like this and that, or little details or something like that. But I like what this black piece of chipboard brings to that card. So this page is pretty much done, and now I'm moving on to the second page. I'm going to start with this one because it's super easy, and I'm only putting the photo on the card. I'm going to outline it, put a little caption that says May Forest app, and that's it. I did already tell a little bit of a story about that in the previous page, so I didn't feel like I needed to explain what it was. It's an app that I use for helping me focus. So now I have this photo of my stickers that came in. My little BFF sticker club book came in the mail, and I did my first little kind of daily stickering, journaling kind of activity. And so I decided to actually, with the sticker book, I had also bought some stickers from that sticker club. So I decided these are kind of like my non-scrapbooking stickers. And so I grabbed one of those. So that says BFF Sticker Club. And I thought it was cool to put that up there because the book is the BFF Sticker Club book. The journaling I'm writing here, it's just a caption. It says, my BFF A Year of Stickers book arrived. That's all that I'm saying. And then I took out the book just to show my patrons that I've been stickering my days. Stickering my days away. It's just like a little 5 or 10 minute task that you can do that just relax. I do it outside. It's relaxing. Gets me some sunshine in my mornings. So now we're on to the pizza story. And I had noticed when I was looking through my sticker book that I also had some pizza stickers from the Pip Sticks company. And I have an affiliate link down below that you can use if you'd like to buy some Pip Sticks. I really appreciate you using my affiliate links. It really does help my channel. So what I'm doing here is I'm using one of those tall pieces of paper that I don't really like getting. I get them from Ali Edwards story kits, which I'm not subscribed to anymore, but I have plenty of those in my stash. So I am just I'm using a piece of that paper with the arrow on it, and I'm using it along with this new Ellie Studio die that I have. It's called Pocket Frame and Flip Up Metal Die from Ellie Studio. It's featured in the haul that I already linked in a card above, so you can check that out if you're interested in it. But I am going to run that through my die cut machine, and it didn't quite, I think it was hanging off the edge a little bit, so I just put it through it another time just to be sure that it cut. So that worked quite well. It may have cut the first time, I don't know. So what I did when I took apart that die was I actually left the frame intact. So you're supposed to take out that center piece and use it as a separate piece. But I think every time I use this die, I'm probably going to want to use it as a frame. So for now anyways, I'm just leaving the center intact, like attached to the overall die. So that one comes with a base die and then another bunch of pieces that you can cut apart and use separately. And I do show it in a bit more detail in my haul video. So that gives me this flip up, and instead of it being a plastic flip like what I usually use with those Simple Stories photo flips, instead it's giving me this cardstock flip that's going to stick partially out of the pocket. And because this is a right side pocket page, the slits are on this side, so I can actually have some things sticking out of the pockets. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just going to attach this to the 4x6 that it's going to be a part of so that it doesn't slide around in there. So I just used a blank 4x6 card to give that some stability, and then I attached the other 3x4 to that 4x6 card, if that makes any sense. Hopefully you saw what I did. And now I'm just decorating it with pizza stickers from Pipsticks. And these stickers are so much fun. And we order pizza maybe once a week or every 2 weeks. We do eat quite a lot of pizza in our family. So I thought that those stickers would get quite a bit of mileage. Now my journaling here says, Scott calls pizza with bacon, ground beef, mushroom, onions, and cheddar and mozza. He calls it bacon double cheeseburger pizza. And so double cheese is like where the double comes from. It's double cheese. He puts mustard on it, which I always found gross. This time I tried it, and to my surprise, I love it. Who knew mustard on pizza would be so yummy? It really does taste like you're eating a cheeseburger when you put mustard on this pizza. I'm grabbing my roller date stamp and checking the date on this photo because it's now glued to something so I can't see it anymore. And it was May 27th. And I'm just going to glue this to that 4x6 white card that I had, and boom, this is all set. I pulled out a Stampin' Right marker just to fill in the 5 stars, just to indicate that this is like a 5-star rating. Mustard on your pizza. I highly recommend, believe it or not. And then I grabbed my foodie stamps, and I've decided to keep these puffy stickers with my foodie stamps, even though they're stickers and not stamps, because usually whenever I have a food related story to tell, I always pull out these stamps. And so it makes sense that these stickers would be right in there with them. So I like how this card looks. It's interactive, but it's kind of like a unique kind of interaction, especially relative to my other pages. So it's something new. I like it. I don't feel like I need to put a tab on it because it already kind of pops up off the page a little bit on its own. So now I'm just moving on to this photo of my poor, pathetic fiddle leaf fig. This was thriving in my office, but once the office was without any people in it for a while, it suffered quite a bit. So I'm going to use my hot off the press journaling template here to draw out some lines in pencil. And my journaling says, fiddle leaf figs are hard to grow, but the one at work thrived until Jana left. Now it's a sad sight, so I brought it home, hoping to nurse it back to life. I'm not that good with plants, but I have been keeping my plants alive for the past year or so and growing my plant collection, so I think I might be ready to take on something a little bit more complicated. I looked it up how to do it online, and it sounds like I just need to mostly leave it alone for a long time and have a lot of patience. So under place, I put sunny side, and then I put an arrow to tantalum because it was at work and now it's at home. And then in brackets, I just put for now. My original plan was that the journaling card would be on the outside, but then once I added that little chipboard piece that says grow, that was part of the Ali Edwards chipboard pieces for this month, it was perfect and it fit really nicely on that part of the photo, and the photo looked a lot better, so I decided to put it on the outside. And now here I'm getting a little meta and I'm taking a little picture for Instagram because I'm actually using the tray of chipboard pieces to scrapbook my picture of my tray of scrapboard pieces. That kind of thing really entertains me, so I wanted to take a picture of it. If you follow me on Instagram, you've probably seen it already. But after all that, I'm actually using pieces of chipboard that weren't in my little tray. I'm using pieces of chipboard from this month. So my plan is that every month when I'm finished with a kit, the pieces of chipboard from that kit will go into that tray sorted by color, as you saw. I have a video. It's not edited yet, so I don't know how long it'll take for that video to get up on my channel, but at some point I'm going to talk about how I'm storing my chipboard and why I decided to do that, and that will explain why the chipboard that I used, it says this is real life, and then it also says great/meh, because I haven't decided if I actually like this approach yet. So here's that card. The card is from Coco Daisy, and again, I've mentioned before, I think, in this process that I'm finding those cards a little fancy relative to my other cards. So I'm trying to make it look a little bit more casual. And boy, am I going to succeed, because I'm going to make a big mistake here. But I thought if I stamped really boldly in this typewriter alpha, that it would help to make this card look a little bit more casual. And it does. I like the look. So I'm putting the O over there and then the E over here, with the idea that then I could line up those other letter stamps to be even, but I'm not. I'm going to scooch them all over here too far to the E, and then I'm going to have too much space for my two Fs. So see, there's way too much space there for two Fs, and then I kind of lose my focus, and whoops, that one is too low. But you know what? I was looking for casual, and that does it. So we're just going to go with it. And then I had picked out more stamps to stamp out the word fourth. And so I'm just purposely making these letters be a little bit off kilter so that it doesn't look too much like that was an accident, even though it was an accident. And now I'm going to adhere that down using my tape runner and do a little bit of outlining to make it look a little bit more bold. And yeah, it's sort of not balanced, so I decided to put our in front of the fourth. So now it says our fourth office. And that just gives a little bit more balance to this card. It's not my favorite card on the page. I thought about adding some journaling over there to the left under the word hour, but I thought that that would just throw it off even more, and I don't know. I still might add some journaling there, but for now, I left it. I'm going to place this duly noted chipboard sticker right here because it balances off the BFF Sticker Club card quite nicely. And it looks like maybe I'm done. I'm not going to add that die cut piece there. I decided against it. I like how all these flips work. I bet you're wondering when I'm going to outline those letters under Harry's house. Well, the answer is right now. So I'm using my Prismacolor .005 pen, which is the one I use for outlining these tiny little letter stickers because it's my smallest nibbed pen. And I'm outlining just very gently around the edges of all of those letter stickers that spells out Harry's house. And what that does is it gives those letter stickers just a little bit more presence on the page and separates them out a little bit from the sticker that they're on as well. It also improves the legibility just a wee little bit. So there, now it's done. And I like how this one turned out. Now, before I show you the photos, I just wanted to do a really quick shout out to all of my Patreon supporters. These are the folks that help make this channel happen, so a great big thanks to them. And thanks to you too for watching my channel. And I am going to show you the pictures next, but I took them after the cards were in the page protector, so the reflections are a little bad. So sorry about that. I just put them in super fast so that you could get a sense of how the page came together. If you'd like to see more of them, check out my Instagram because that's where I'm posting these days. I've had to decrease my social media presence down to just one platform besides YouTube, so that is Instagram. It's the best place to find me on socials. Take care and have a really great scrappy week.